The 4th annual Travis Griner Memorial Tractor Ride is Saturday, June 29th. Sign-up begins at 6:30 a.m. behind Griner Crop Service, east of Keota Water Tower. Free will donation. Includes lunch and snacks along the ride. Proceeds to area 4-H and FFA fairs. The ride leaves Keota at 7:45 and will be a 60-mile round trip. Sponsored by Southeast Iowa Tractor Association Incorporated. It's the 4th annual Travis Griner Memorial Tractor Ride, Saturday, June 29th. And if you don't have a tractor, come and watch along the route. The Keokuk County Expo Fair Kickoff Barbecue Cook-Off is Saturday, July 13th. $100 per team, up to 4. Deadline to sign up is Friday, June 28th. Cash payout is $350, line June 28th. Stop at the Keokuk County Extension Office to pick up a packet. Proceeds to support the Keokuk County Expo. Sponsored by Keokuk County Farm Bureau. Contemporary Christian artist Leanna Crawford is coming to the Watch Year Opera House in Watch Year, Iowa, Saturday, June 29th at 7 p.m. Doors open up at 6 p.m. Advance tickets are $15 plus tax, $20 at the door.
Hey, it's Leanna Crawford, and I am so cheery to be coming to Watch Year, Iowa. It's going to be such a sweet night of music and praising Jesus together, and I cannot wait to see you there.
All proceeds to support the Tri-County Food Pantry. Brought to you by the Watch Year Methodist Church. Ticket information can be found on the Watch Year Methodist Church Facebook page. Hey, and welcome in. It is a Tuesday night. Time for Tuesday Night Tune-Up here on Steve Shetler Media. We are broadcasting live from Smoky Row in downtown Oskaloosa on a steamy Tuesday evening. Of course, we thank all of our sponsors for making our broadcast possible. And hey, we are raring to go. We've got a full house tonight, as opposed to last week where it was just Safe being all lonely by himself. We've got a full house this week. Let's go to Safe, Curtis, and our guest this week, Dustin Griffiths. Guys, go ahead.
Hey, welcome back, race fan, to Tuesday Night Tune-Up, TNT. We're so excited to be back here this week. It's nice actually having people at the table with me, so I'm not just talking to myself. And Steve and everyone watching last week. So, Curtis, glad you're back. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, excited to be back. I had to travel last week for work, so couldn't be here, but thanks for holding down the fort in my absence.
Oh, you're welcome. Not very hard to hold this fort down here, luckily, but it sure makes it hard when you're by yourself. So, and fans, we can probably hear you already through the computers. You love them. You hate them, however you feel about them. We're very excited and very lucky here tonight that we have Dustin Griffiths with us. Dustin's racing the 10G stock car and hobby stock all over southeast Iowa here. So, Dustin, thanks for joining us here tonight on TNT.
Thank you.
So we have a lot of things to talk about tonight. We have Dustin here to talk about racing. We have the NASCAR series at Iowa, sprint cars, all sorts of things going on. Steve, why don't you run us through who all of our sponsors are here, and then we'll get back to our live show here in just a few minutes.
All righty, thank you, Safe. Let's do run through those sponsors. That includes Milo's Tree Service. You can call Chris Minter at 641-683-2627. We also thank Sinclair Napa. Go to sinclairnapa.com for more information there. James Family Greenhouse from Sigourney is also one of our supporters here on the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We also thank Christy Tarr at American Family Insurance in Oskaloosa. A bunch of other Sigourney sponsors include Sigourney Body Shop, Tony and Yvonne Pitch at 210 Clark Street in Sigourney. We've got Sigourney Motors with CJ Fitzgerald, 641-224-8056, and Sigourney Tree Care. Our final sponsor, Zeb Webb at Sigourney Tree Care, 641-622-2097. Now, we go back to the live shot of the guys. But, guys, before we go any further...
Oh, wait.
We do have a giveaway.
We do?
We do. We have a giveaway as for the last 24 hours-ish. I think I put this up at maybe 8 o'clock last night.
There was a giveaway? Did you know about a giveaway?
I did. I did.
I didn't.
Curtis was tagged in this. The ticket giveaway is courtesy of Vans Racing, Curtis Vanderwall, and a 4-pack of tickets for the Southern Iowa Speedway. The magic combination to get in the running for this ticket giveaway was to simply like and share the post on the Steve Schoutler Media Facebook page. Tons of people did this. And out of all of those people that liked and shared, our winner is Bailey Fandebaker. So
Hey.
Bailey Fandebaker, our prize winner. Congratulations to you, Bailey. Now, Bailey has been notified, and she can pick up her tickets here at Smoky Row in Oskaloosa. We thank them for helping us out. Thanks to Vans Racing for
Yeah, thanks,
giving us
Curtis.
the tickets to give away. And, of course, those are good for any regular season race at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Maybe use those coming up tomorrow night. Safe, we'll take it back to you.
Hey, thanks. And again, thanks, Curtis, for giving us some tickets here to give away. That's very nice of you to do something like that and help the local race community out.
Yeah, I think it's important that we get folks out to the racetrack, right? Hopefully every week, people can bring maybe somebody new or some folks that maybe don't go all the time can get going. I don't know if Bailey and their group come all the time, but if they did, great. Thanks for coming every week, and if not, hopefully we get to see you more.
Absolutely. So we get Dustin here with us tonight. This has been a kind of a long time coming. So Dustin, we've been seeing you race so far this year in the hobby stock and stock car class at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Has that always been what you raced, or how did you get your start into racing to where you are now?
Take us in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, let's go way back.
Way
time
back
machine.
when I first started racing, I started out just in a hobby stock. When I was 14 years old, jumped right in a hobby stock. My dad put me in one, said go out there and give it my best shot. I think I won a couple of races my first year, and just been racing that ever since. And then we started racing stock cars full time in 2016. I drove a few times for Roger Kelderman in 15, and that got me hooked. That was a mistake.
Dustin, like you said, your dad's the one that's always helped you from the beginning and stuff. Why don't you tell us how that relationship has been with your dad and racing? Because, he's always at the track with you, which is really cool, having that father-son dynamic.
Yeah, me being an only child, me and him have always been pretty close, and racing keeps us extremely close. And I like doing that, and I like, working alongside of him. We don't always agree on everything, and we don't work well together at all. Sometimes he just tells me to leave, and he'll do it himself because I get irritated easy, and he has more patience than I do. But, it keeps us close, and we raced against each other, for a few years there when I first started, and it just got to be a lot to keep up with both cars, and I think he enjoys helping me just as much as he did, when we were racing against each other, so...
Absolutely. And it seems like, when the 10G pits, there's always some other cars over there kind of have like that, Hedrick kind of mafia going on. There's a few other guys that you and your dad help out as well. What has that been like from that aspect,
We'll usually help about anybody that asks, if they want to listen. We don't mind helping people. We've been around a long time, and my dad knows quite a bit about setup and stuff, and it seems to work for me. It probably doesn't work for everybody. Different driving styles take different stuff, but, we've helped out several people along the way, and we got a pretty good group of friends over there that park by us, and we all get along great, and it makes it nice when you can go to the track and you got some friends there to park by you and you're not parked by yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's cool. Like I saw on Facebook, and a lot of people know you're good friends with James Pilkington, and he's had some up and downs in his 22 hobby stock, and then you go out in it and get a win in it. So how's that been for sometimes you do kind of get hired to drive another car. What's that like, getting out of your car and stepping into another one?
My car drives a little bit different than his. He's got a good car. He just needs seat time. And I've told him that, you're not going to go out there and win your first or second year. The class is tough. There's a lot of fast guys out there. he gets frustrated with himself, gets down on himself, and I just tell him it takes laps. The more laps you turn, the better you'll get. He seems to do a lot better on shorter tracks than he does at Oski. And there's a lot of people like that. Oski's fast track. It takes, a lot of speed.
Yeah, it does for sure.
Dustin, one thing that I'm always intrigued to hear from drivers that have done both or that do both, compare the stock car and the hobby stock, if you will, for the folks listening at home, as far as what it takes to drive it. Because, some of the differences are, you've got a little bit more power with the stock car. You've got the more advanced shocks. You've got, racing springs. You've got the quick steer or the faster steering box. Whereas your street tires, a little narrower tire on the hobby stock, slower steering, a little bit less power. And then the stock mount shocks. Walk our viewers and listeners through that difference.
The three biggest things that I notice the difference when I'm out there is like the steering's a lot quicker on the stock car for sure. The brakes are not near as good on the hobby stock as the stock car, and of course they drive totally different with the tires. I mean, your shocks, you can get a lot better shocks on a stock car. Brakes, a lot better brakes on a stock car. You can adjust them and everything else. It's just stock car, in my opinion, is a lot easier to drive than a hobby stock is.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard that same thing from people that have either moved up or do both, and it's maybe not necessarily easier. It's just easier to screw the hobby stock up.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
When you get out of that stock car and get into that hobby stock, it feels like you're turning the steering wheel a country mile to be able to turn it at all. The brakes aren't very good on it. You got to drive them totally different than a stock car. And I mean, I've had enough years in it that I'm kind of just used to my hobby stock and how it reacts. And I'm pretty fortunate I can adapt pretty well from the two.
Yeah, I'd say that's fairly accurate. You've had a lot of successful years, but I personally, and I'm no means pay attention to everything in the world. I have a tough enough time focusing on my own stuff a lot of times at the track, but it seems like this year has at least started off as good or better than any year in your racing career. Where would you rank that, and what would you maybe say that's due to, or what's helped that be the case?
I've had several good years in my hobby stock where I've won several races and track championships. The stock car, we did fairly well our first couple of years, got several wins, and then it's kind of like stuff started changing. The older car wasn't working, how I wanted it to, and we kind of struggled for a few years there. So we got a new car, got it out at the end of last year. It's been really good, Johnny Spa race car, and the hobby stock, we've been on the same brand of chassis, Big Daddy race cars, since 2014, I think it was, or 2011 actually, I guess it was. We got that one. And then we had an Aero car we ran a little bit in 2014, and it was pretty good. We ended up getting rid of it and stuck with the Big Daddy car, wrecked the 2011 in 19 or at the end of 18, and then put a new one together in 19 of the same brand. I'm pretty comfortable in them. They seem to drive really well, so that's kind of what we stuck with.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it. And I don't think, you alluded to James and him getting down on himself and getting frustrated, and how it's just going to take him laps, right? The more experienced you are, I think it's the easier you can see that, right? I know I was having a conversation earlier tonight with Robbie Wilson about the same thing. It's just going to take laps. With that being said, and I think you'll agree with this, just being comfortable in the car, whether that's what it's going to do when you give it an input with the steering wheel or the brake pedal or the gas pedal or whatever. Being comfortable in that car, even the seating position and the steering wheel location and the switches. All that stuff plays into the ability to be successful, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on how my seat feels. If I'm not comfortable in the seat, it's pretty tough to drive. I had one of them Ultra Shield seats, and it had the thick padding under the bottoms of my legs, and I didn't like that. I was used to my Kirky and it didn't have any padding, so I tore that foam off of there. And it just seems like just by doing that, you can feel so much more in the car and how it reacts by just your legs against the seat. I mean, it does make a big difference being comfortable in the seat.
Yeah, it definitely does. So walk us through kind of how your years started out here this year, because there was a long time where you didn't lose. And then you've had some bad luck. I know you had a situation down at Lee County with the stock car, and then that was bad, but then you jump out of that, turning that thing over and cause yourself a whole bunch of work there, or the racetrack maybe caused you a whole bunch of work, and then you jump in the hobby stock and go out and don't miss a beat. So walk everybody through kind of how the year's gone for you overall.
It started out really good. We've won several races in both the hobby stock and stock car. The new car has been really good. We just had some bad luck down at Donaldson, caught a rut, rolled it 3 times. I'm still finding stuff, that's messed up from that. I replaced a bunch of stuff on the front suspension, pretty much all the front suspension. I found some of the trailing arm brackets and stuff were all out of whack, and it's just been, we've been fighting it ever since then, and just finding little things here and there, that we got to fix that are from that rollover. And I think once we get them all ironed out, I think we'll be back to normal. We haven't had bad runs, I wouldn't say.
Oh no, yeah, no. I mean, you're still right there.
The speed just fell off a little bit due to some of that stuff, And
all those little things add up, and
Yeah.
and it may be 3 or 4 small little things, and now you're just maybe even 1/10 of a second per lap off.
Right.
But that's enough to not be running quite as good as you were.
Yep, and I myself on these last couple slick tracks, I overthink stuff. And I
Drivers would
definitely-
never do
I
that.
definitely overthought stuff in the pits the other night at Lee County, and I tightened the car up way too much. And it didn't want to turn in the center, so then I couldn't run the bottom, so I just had to rip it around the top, and it was still too tight to even do that, really. So I just need to stop overthinking myself and just do what my first gutting instinct is. and
I tell you
leave
what,
it.
you figure out the secret to that, and you let me know so that I can stop doing it. Then we'll bottle it, and we'll sell it to all the other racers and do the exact
Seems
same
like
thing.
every time I think, I need to tighten this thing up a lot. It's really slick. I tighten it up way too much, and then I'm mad at myself saying, well, I should have left it alone because it was a little tight in the heat race and would have been perfect in the feature.
Yeah, hindsight's always 20/20, just like Mother Nature's undefeated, right?
Exactly.
So, Dustin, going on to talking more about the stock cars and stuff, there's been a lot of changes in the world of stock car racing with setups and stuff, and it seemed like, the last couple of years has been kind of odd. We saw kind of everyone, Murdy's and Harris kind of seemed to start this whole deal. You put your front end as low into the dirt as you can, hike the rear end up real high. Now it's kind of going back to how it was before. What are some of the biggest things you've seen lately in the evolution of stock car racing and really these kind of odd different setups that everyone's been trying in the last few years?
I tried all that soft left rear spring stuff last year. I just couldn't make it work. It just seemed like all the car wanted to do was wheelie on me. I was trying to decide what brand of car I wanted, to get for a new car last year, and I always liked how Johnny's cars looked. They look like they drive good. Johnny's super nice guy to work with, and the way he sets stuff up really worked out great for me because it's more of the old school way that I learned with the Kelderman car when I had it, And now that we're back down to that frame height rule, that setup seems to be working pretty good because we were already within the legal limit.
Yeah, that's one thing that Johnny said this winter, that his cars really didn't need to do anything different with that new rule, but
Exactly.
but a lot of the other manufacturers had to do quite a little bit of work to kind of get their stuff back within the new box that's been created by IMCA.
I'm really glad they did that because it was so weird when everyone started doing that. The first time the Murdy's came down to Oski with that kind of style, that was toward the end of like the 21 season when they came down for our fall specials is when they started doing that. And I'm just like, what are we? I mean, I kind of understood the overall game there, but to me, it just seems like you're really going to dig that right front corner into the dirt pretty far, especially on some of these tracks where you get, banking and you have to get stuck in the middle or something like that. So I think that was a good move on IMCA's part to do that frame height rule.
I mean, I think you can get plenty of bite in the car without doing that. I mean, I showed that Saturday night when I was too tight on the slick track. So my car has no problem getting bite in it, and I seem to put way too much.
I mean, that happens. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a mental game, I think, more than people know. I mean, you guys both. No, I mean, so when you get to a track, you get unloaded, you look at the racetrack, it seems, and stuff. What are some of the first things that kind of go through your head? Maybe when you're getting ready to head into staging for a heat race, what's kind of going through your mindset there?
I always just put my car back to a basic setup. Then I'll go up, each night we go to the track like that. I'll go up and look at the track, before hot laps, see what it looks like, kind of watch some hot laps. I usually don't hot lap. I never have. It's just never really have hot lap unless I need to check something, And so I'll go up and watch it and kind of see what the track does and then make my adjustments from there. And I'm always telling myself after the heat race, oh, you need to put a little more bite in it. I'd rather three-wheel it a little and have bite than be spinning the tires. And then I get out there and I'm like, I should have left it alone, No, I would not want to be able to turn.
Right. And it seems like Oski at least last week, got pretty slick there. It seemed to slick off a decent amount in the corners. Maybe I'm wrong a little, but from what it looked like on
you'd have to ask somebody else about that. I only got to make one lap.
Well,
one straightaway in the feature, and that's it.
Well, yeah.
Flywheel said see you later and came out the hood.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
Broke the bell housing and everything.
Ugh.
So from what you could see, it looked like it was slicking off a little. Yeah.
From what I could see on the pace laps out there, it looked like it was pretty slick.
Yeah, and one thing at Oski we have now is we're starting to get some more competition in the stock cars. There, it looks like McGuire DeYoung, he's got a new Vanderbilt car. Pete's been bringing down the 1X car with Caden Carter driving it. What's that like for you, knowing you're getting some more guys that are very good caliber racers coming into the stock car class? It kind of seems like we're seeing a lot of mod guys, at least from what I've been seeing online, seeing at shops and stuff, are switching back to stock cars. Is that exciting for you to know that we have some more stock cars coming in?
Yeah, I don't mind racing against competition. You can't, you can beat them, then you can beat anybody. I mean, Caden's a good wheelman. He's been racing a lot of years.
Yeah. And
McGuire, he's good. I mean, he had a lot of success in go-karts, and I think once he gets a stock car figured out, he'll be one tough person to beat too.
Yeah, no doubt. And that old adage, and we've said it 100 times before, but steel sharpens steel, right? Mm-hmm. So when you go against those guys, and I don't care, and I've said this before as well, I don't care if it's stock car, sport mod, hobby stock, 4 cylinders, any of those classes, when you race against the caliber of cars that compete at Oski every week, the top 5, 7, 8, 9 cars can go anywhere else and challenge for the win on the weekends.
Yeah.
So when you're regularly competing against that, it just continually causes you to raise your game and search and make your stuff a little bit better and oh, maybe I saw this guy was doing that, maybe I'd like to try that, or that's interesting or whatever. And that's why I think that this area especially is always produced such a high caliber of race car and race car drivers, just because of that inherent competition in this 60 or 75 mile radius.
Oskaloosa might not have a lot of cars, but they got the ones they do have are a lot of fast ones, a lot of stiff competition. And one person that I think is doing really good this year, and he just been running a hobby stock, is that Colby Sabin.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking really good for his first year in hobby stock, and I think I talked to him here a couple weeks ago, and he's just running an old home-built car, and he's looking real good. It's nice to see somebody move up out of the 4-cylinder class and into a hobby stock and look that good.
Well, Braden Woods looked good last week
he's
too.
looking real good too. Yep.
Yeah, it's so nice. You're exactly right, Dustin, to see that progression up from one class to another, or in Braden's case, being around it and working on his dad's stuff all these years to getting in the seat and applying those things that he's kind of learned from osmosis, just being around it with Nathan and Deke.
Yep.
So you're exactly right, and it's a really good deal to see that sort of stuff happening.
Yeah, Braden's got a lot of good people backing him. I mean, he's got a lot of knowledge there, just like I had, you know. And Nathan's been racing a lot of years. My dad raced a lot of years. Deke's been around it a long time. You know, I like to help all these younger kids out. I want to see them do good, you know. And there's several of them I kind of try to explain stuff to, you know, of what I see them doing wrong that might cost them a little bit of speed, you know. And it's not because I'm not worried about them beating me. If they beat me, then they beat me. But I'd like to see them get better.
So speaking of beating, you've won every race that you've been able to finish in the hobby stock class at the Southern Iowa Speedway so far. Cindy Drost and Drost Family Farms put a bounty on you. It has not been claimed yet. And, you know, what's that? Does that change your mindset at all, or does it help you out, you think, actually, knowing that you have something like that, you know?
Oh, you know, I just go out there every night and just race my race. If somebody beats me, they beat me. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to rough somebody up to win the race just because of a little bit of bounty money. It's not worth it to me. Tore up race cars aren't worth a little bit of extra money because it'll just cost you more in the long run.
And it's been cool that that's happened because, you know, bounties were a big thing back in the day. I mean, they've been around a little bit. We're starting to see them come back out, but it's opened up. You know, we saw like Chris Walker get back in a car his first time in 9 years. Nathan Woods getting back into a hobby stock that one night. And, you know, I hope it continues to grow. And, again, you haven't been technically beat yet. Last Wednesday you had a little rough incident in the heat race. You weren't able to start the feature, so the purse is still growing for that. So, you know, hopefully tomorrow night we'll, you know, that's what I think is helping bring some cars right now is, you know, it's great we have families like that stepping up, wanting to do that, because it's really needed right now.
Yeah,
you know?
I think you're exactly right. It's really nice to see the fans and the you know, adding to the program like that. I think if nothing else, it creates a sense of excitement, and it creates a bit of a buzz, and it's a talking point. You know, maybe more people are talking about the Southern Iowa Speedway than they regularly do. So maybe that's why we're not only getting some more fans in the grandstands, but also some more cars in the pits, and both of those are great things.
Yeah, it's nice to see some more fans and stuff in the stands, you know, and I liked what they did last week for the kids. You got to keep the kids interested in the sport if it's going to keep going.
Yep.
We're actually going to do a kids' night in the middle of July, and we're going to give away a bunch of stuff to kids in the grandstands
that's awesome.
from our race teams.
Yeah, that's going to be really
that's
cool.
cool.
I saw that on the schedule today. One thing that you know, you talk about the future and the kids and keeping the kids entertained and tuned into it. I think you're 100% right. That's critically important to the future success of racing and our racetrack here, and the racetracks in the area for that matter. One cool thing though that we get to do tomorrow night at the track is we get to flip a few pages back in the history books and take a look at who our 2024 Southern Iowa Speedway Hall of Fame inductees are. And I think you've got a list there of some extremely, in my opinion, and I think they're extremely deserving group this year. And I think that the fans and the existing Hall of Famers got this absolutely as right as could be.
Yeah, we have Gary Morris, Howard Gordon Jr., Jake Hughes, and Roger Dolan. So a great class. You know, I'm so happy to see Howard make it in. You know, it's been a rough past few years.
Few years with his health issues and
for the Gordon clan
and that sort of stuff. And he hasn't lost the sparkle in his eye, and that's you know, that's amazing to me, and that speaks volumes to the to just his character and who he is. And I'll be honest, selfishly, I still wish that he was able to be out there racing every week because he's one of the all-time greats in this area, especially when you look at how relatively short his career was overall, and then you look at the amount of races and championships that he was able to win, and the things that he was able to do. It was just a tremendous man and racer. So
absolutely. And Dustin, it takes a lot to keep these race teams going. And now with we have the inflations, the price of everything's going up, and with running 2 cars, that's extremely tough. Why don't you tell us who all helps the 10G team stay at the racetracks?
Yeah, I got a lot of sponsors. I mean, first of all, I got to thank my dad and Braxton. They spend a lot of time working on these cars. My dad works on them when I'm at work, so if he didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be able to race near as much as I do, let alone 2 classes. My kids and my wife for letting me be gone as much as I am to work on the cars. And, I got on the stock car Sharkey frame, Fowler Construction and Spray Foam, McClure Concrete, Champion Bowl, Iowa Explosion Cheer and Tumbling, Mad Zen, Copper Lantern Bar and Grill, A&L Apartments, 1015 Transit, Riverside Restaurant, Keller's Garage, Johnny Spa Race Cars, Mid-State Machine, and then I get a lot of parts from Vans Racing over here. And then on the hobby stock, we got Norris Asphalt and Dowd Stone. Them guys help me out tremendously on that car, and they seem to take care of me every year. And we come up with pretty good looking wraps and pretty cool wraps on them things. And just all the fans and everybody that comes out, whether they like me or not. If it wasn't for the fans in the stands, we wouldn't be able to keep racing.
You're exactly right. That's the key.
Yeah. Well, folks, this wraps up our interview portion of TNT, the Tuesday night tune-up. Steve, why don't you go ahead and run us through who's all helping this show stay possible on Tuesday nights?
All righty, will do. Again, thanks to Dustin Griffiths for stopping by and being our guest on tonight's Tuesday night tune-up. We thank all of our sponsors. That includes Sigourney Tree Care, owned and operated by Zeb Webb. We also thank Sinclair Napa. You can go to sinclairnapa.com for more information. James Family Greenhouse for being one of our sponsors. Also, Sigourney Body Shop at 210 Clark Street in Sigourney. We thank Milo's Tree Service for being one of our sponsors and helping make this broadcast possible. Christy Tarr at American Family Insurance. You can email teamtar@amfam.com. And then also Sigourney Motors for being one of our sponsors. So again, my Sigourney Body Shop, Sigourney Tree Care, and Sigourney Motors. All right, let's go back to the table live, guys. And what do we got for this next segment?
Oh, we're back.
We are back.
What?
He doesn't miss a beat, folks. I'm telling you.
No, I tell you what, I'm so sharp sometimes. I real smart. I can count to 10. Sometimes. I mean, it
if you
depends.
don't have your mittens on, right?
Right. So, I mean, Dustin's going to join us here still, so that's awesome. Thanks for doing that, Dustin. It sounds like they must have a good hold down on the Ford at home getting the cars ready for tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah.
So we have some racing to unpack. We had a really busy weekend with racing. We had some awesome history made here in the state of Iowa and just all around. I know Dustin loves talking about NASCAR racing. That's his favorite. What did you say earlier about